Joe Malik from G1NBC on air. We're down here at the Brighton Chamber office, and we're with Nicole. And Nicole's going to tell us a little about herself.
Yep. I'm Nicole Colley. I am the walk manager for the Brighton Walk to End Alzheimer's. I've been working for the Alzheimer's Association about 2 years now, and we're just kind of here today to talk about a little bit of our resources and our education and a little bit about what the walk is.
So, what is the association first? What is it?
So the Alzheimer's Association is the largest nonprofit that funds research for a cure and helps families in local communities that deal with Alzheimer's disease. So that's helping both the people that have the disease and the caregivers taking care of them.
What is Alzheimer's? What is it?
Alzheimer's is a disease of the brain. So if you think about the fact that the brain controls pretty much your entire body, slowly pieces of the brain die off, and the things that those control also don't work then. And so it's kind of a slow, the body shuts down over time, and it's a fatal disease.
Is it a constant disease, or does it stop at a certain time, or?
Nope, it is constant, and it's something that's difficult, I think, mostly because it's very unique and it's very different for everybody. There's different forms of it.
Okay.
It is a form of dementia. Dementia is kind of the overarching term, and Alzheimer's is a type of it, but it's the most common. And it's something that's progressive, and the timeline's very different. So for some people it goes quickly, and for some people it lasts a long time.
So do you support like research for different hospitals, or do you have your own facility?
So we do research on a few different levels. We partner locally with different universities and programs, statewide level, national. We're actually, we hold the largest global conference every year as well for researchers called AAIC. So we've kind of got our hands in a bunch of different things, but we don't have like a specific facility that's ours.
Okay. And how long have you been there?
I've been with the association as a staff member for 2 years, and I've been volunteering since 2010.
What made you get involved with it?
I used to work in memory care and skilled nursing care. I was an activities director for a number of years. I worked in memory care specifically as well, and it started off as just kind of seeing the toll that it took on the patients and their families. I started doing support groups and things of that nature. And then around 2016, my own grandfather was diagnosed as well, so it became very much personal at that point too.
Interesting. And how long have you been in this area working at it then?
In Brighton specifically, since 2016 is when we moved back to Michigan, and I started doing it in this area. So in this area, I started off just as a walk captain when I worked in facilities. Eventually, I joined the walk planning committee, which I really enjoyed that aspect of volunteering. And then at some point, when I was getting ready to job hunt after a maternity leave, this position was open, and I just felt like it was the perfect fit.
And what is that position?
So I run the Brighton Walk specifically in town. So I'm kind of the person that gets the pieces moving, and I work with a host, like a large number of volunteers that help me put the event together every year. And it's something that I think a lot of people just think, oh, it's an event that's one day for the year, but it's something that really truly takes the whole year to put together and plan. So those volunteers are working hard year round.
And when did it start here in Brighton?
2011 was the first year in Brighton, and when it first started, it was small enough that it fit in the little amphitheater at Mill Pond before it got big. And then at some point, I'm trying to remember what year, maybe around 2014 or something, it kind of exploded and it started taking over Main Street. And then at that point, we started doing the permits and everything to close Main Street and have a full thing. And now, however many years that is later, 2019 specifically, our last in-person full year, we had 945 walkers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that exciting?
It was really exciting. It's awesome to see. I think my favorite part of Walk Day is just seeing the community come together, and that support aspect and the awareness aspect of getting to kind of spread that awareness of the mission and the work that we do, and the message that you're not alone in doing this, because I think so many people feel alone, and then they show up to an event like this and they realize how many people are really going through the same thing as
So
them.
do you have support groups in the area then too, or?
Yep. Support groups look a little bit different right now, obviously, since the pandemic.
Right.
We have been virtual throughout the entire pandemic, so we've had a number of them kind of throughout Michigan. But prior to that, we had about 4 in Livingston County that were meeting at various locations. And we're looking to hopefully very soon now start to get back to that.
Are those very helpful for people, having those support groups?
Very much. I have to say, to speak to kind of the other side of it, as somebody who's to lead support groups and as somebody who has a family member myself now, just being able to go into that setting and kind of vent about what's going on in your life, or maybe ask advice for other people going through the same thing or different things like that. It's a really good experience.
Well, how do people get involved then? I mean, do they get involved at different levels, or is the walk the most important thing?
I wouldn't say the walk is the most important thing, but if you think about everything that we do and all the services that we offer, the walk is our largest fundraiser by far. So it's definitely a lot of the driving force behind being able to do what we do in the community. So to get involved in walk can look a number of different ways. Kind of the first thing that we always throw out there is starting a team, because it is free to register and there's no required minimums or anything like that. It's something that can be just a couple people, or it can be a large amount of people, like from a company, and they can kind of make what they want of it and enjoy the day.
Who do you usually try and recruit to do the walks with you?
It's a mix. So I would say we're maybe 50-50 split, but there's a good amount. In Brighton specifically, we've been pretty heavy friends and family teams for a long time. I think our community really shows up for this event and really shows up for the cause. And something that we've been slowly building the last few years too is just more of those company teams. And we've been hitting on that a lot, especially this year, because I think that more and more it's coming to light that this really affects our local businesses and our communities as well. If you think about the caregivers that are out there doing caregiving full time, there's a large percent of them that are still working an average of 35 hours a week at a normal job as well.
Wow.
And so that obviously affects them at work too.
Well, what do you enjoy about this organization?
I think that probably just being able to help people in that situation. I think that before I started fundraising and I got involved in this specific association, I did a few different causes here and there. And I think what hit me when I first started working with the Alzheimer's population in general was just the fact that it's really there's not a cure, and there hasn't really been a treatment thus far. And it's, like I said earlier, it's so unique to everybody that it's really hard for families to navigate. So if there's things that we can do to help them navigate that a little bit better, and if there's obviously ways that we can raise money to look for that cure that's so desperately needed, that makes it really worth it.
What age does it usually Alzheimer's hit?
So it's, again, a little bit different, but I would think the average is around 65, but there are other forms as well.
Okay.
One form specifically that gets talked about a lot that's a small percentage, but there is an early onset Alzheimer's that tends to hit people like in their 40s. And so that's obviously even more devastating for those families in a lot of ways, because I think of like somebody who's my age, and if my own mother was deteriorating rapidly like that, that would be extremely difficult.
I can imagine. Well, how do they get a hold of you then?
How do they get a hold of the association?
Yeah.
So the main number, we have a 24/7 helpline that's available, like it's called 24/7. This is something that can be called for literally anything. It's kind of our one-stop shop. So it can be calling to ask for resources. Maybe you need a new doctor in the area, you need to call and ask for advice or something like that. Literally anything, just calling to vent. But that number is 800.
We'll put it up on the screen, but go
Okay.
ahead.
It's 800-272-3900. And like I said, that's available all the time.
Okay, good. Is there a website then too, or?
Yep, our website is just alz.org.
Good. Anything you would like to give in closing then? I mean,
I think that just in general, there's so many families and so many people out there that don't know enough about the disease, or that don't even know that the association resources are there. I can't tell you how many times I meet people every day that say, man, I wish I would have known about this 3, 4, or 5 years ago. So if you ever run into somebody out in your community that you think needs resources, please just always direct them to us.
good. Well, thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Yep, this is Joe Malik from G1NBC On Air down here in the Brain Chamber office. Good day.